This also brings up an interesting question that I've had about dualies and tires in general for a long time. The inside tire and the outside tire rolling together, they're connected. So I'm presuming that they are always exactly aligned with each other. But when you turn and stuff, is there a differential? Because now I've got a connection between one side and the other with this valve extender. If there's any shift or change in that, you know, that could be a problem. But I'm assuming that because these tires are bolted to each other, that they are always aligned exactly with each other. And there's that. And then the centrifugal force, I mean, it just seems like you get this thing up fast enough and that C-clamp, or just the weight of the valve is going to start pulling and tugging on stuff, you know. So that's where I'm at with it. Okay, time to take this thing for a little spin. I went out and I looked at the install, and that thing wiggles. That C-clamp wiggles. So I snugged it, I stuck it to one side, and I'm just gonna take this out on the side streets for the most part. But see, I was able to just check. I know that I've got two passenger rear tires that have 80 pounds because I just went right up and checked that. I can't do that to the other side. That's a project just to check the air. So I really hope this works, because that was nice to just walk right up to the tire and check them. That was amazing. So I'm gonna take it for a spin. We'll take a look at them, see what it does. All right, test one complete. I got it up to about 55 miles an hour. Drove it, under 5 miles though. But everything's still in place. Checked it a few different times. Nothing's rattled or moved or anything. So test one done. Okay, this is the other side. Now look, on this one, the valve is in the center of this mag, opposite of this one down here, which is, I think, the way they're supposed to be, I would imagine. So it's easier to get to, but look at all this slack I got. So it's going to be iffy, I think. So I've got it jacked up down here just a little bit, just to take some pressure off. Over there I lost 60 pounds of air installing it, and we'll see what happens on this side. But look at that, I don't know if these are the right size. These are the 7-inchers. So let's see if it works. Went on no problem. I think a lot of it just had to do with the fact that I could get to it. So now what I'm going to try to do is come up around between the tires and get this wrench tight. So, just going to work at it slowly. So again, it's hard to tell what's going on in there. I'm turning it. And at some point, it should seat. Look at that, see it stop turning. So I think that did tighten it. I'm just going to want to give it one more little oomph, and then I think this is in. Okay, I'm not 100% positive that it's tight enough yet, but I do want to see, with all this slack, where I can put this. Well, if you look, it just S-turns it a little, but it's not horribly kinked or twisted. These C-clamps just seem so inadequate. I want to get this all the way pressed against here. See, I want to get the back of the clamp up against the metal. Yeah, I was able to get these tight enough where it doesn't move like it does on the other side. So I think the other side could use a little tightening too. So you tighten these enough, it seats in it. Okay, let me show you something not to do. When I was tightening this thing down against the rim, I was cranking it and cranking it and cranking it, trying to get it tighter and tighter because the other side got tight and seated real nice. So I just thought I had to tighten this one more. And I stripped this thing out. And then I just stripped those threads. So I ruined this bolt. And now I gotta find a replacement. Now this thing also had a little flare on the end so that it was hard to come out this way. So I had to put it in the vise and force it through to get it out. So now I'm looking everywhere for one of these in my parts. And if I can't, then I gotta go to the hardware store and find one. But yeah, you can, when this thing's turning, you can overturn it and strip them out. Okay, I put a new bolt in it. I'm gonna go try to get this installed and tightened enough, and then I'm not gonna worry about the hubcaps until I've had a chance to roll this down the road a few times, because these hubcaps are gonna probably need to be cut a little and modified in the end if I can get these to work. So until I know these are working and everything's stable, I'm gonna drive around without hubcaps, and, you know, that's just how I'm gonna roll for a while. So anyway, that's where I'm at. Sheesh. The valve extender, no matter how much I tighten it with the wrench, get this in there and turn it on the valve stem, you know, and get it in there nice and tight, I'm getting like a tss, tss, tss. Now right now I got it where it's not doing that. So I'm gonna go take this thing down to where I bought the tires from and see if they'll take that inner tire and remount it so that the valve stem is easier to get at. Luckily the other side seems fine, but continues. Now I still got to do the front, so that'll be after this. I'm just gonna get this good enough for now and then take care of this tire and get this valve reoriented and keep doing this. You know, it's kind of crazy. I thought these were rubber, but that's a metal stem too. I don't want this just thumb tight. Okay, so that's nice and tight. That's good and tight. I don't really know how tight it's supposed to be with the centrifugal force and the extra, but this should be, I'm confident. Get the one with the notch. Looky there. Now that's slick. That is just the bee's knees. That is slick, slick, slick. £80 on the nose. Quick, easy, that I like. So same thing for the other side, fronts are done. And I'm just assuming that, you know, good and tight's good enough. It's just something I want to check once in a while. Make sure these aren't moving or losing air. Okay, now I'm over on the other side, the driver's side, and I got a rubber valve stem here. They say you're not supposed to use those with the extensions. I don't know if this is considered extension enough. So what I'm going to do is put this on here for now, and when I take this in, I'm going to take this to my tire place and see if they'll put a steel valve stem in here for me, as well as the other stuff I need to have done to these tires. So will this work? Is this advisable? Rubber to metal? I will let you know. Alright, so here's what's on the table right now. It's been about a week since I put one of these on the inside tire, and of course there's more to the story. So it's been about a week and I think everything's holding here. I haven't checked. I'm going to check that first. And I'm ready to take a run in the rig, but the way these are designed, it's like a C-clamp, and if this was the rim, you know, it just screws down on there and it's supposed to hold it in place. Now the surface of the rim of the wheel, it's kind of slick, and this thing moves around. No matter how tight I get these things can still move a little, and I just don't feel like over time this is gonna hold. So I've been sitting here thinking about it for a while. I'm thinking of putting a little notch in the rim for this to seat down into. And actually I could maybe drill a hole all the way through the wheel, the rim, get a longer bolt, and then take like a lock nut and just lock it in place. But before I do that, I think I'm just gonna put like a notch in there. If I could get it a couple 16ths and get that to get into that notch and then give it a good that might really hold this in place. Let me go show you. Alright, so I checked the air and it's holding just fine. So everything looks good. I'm ready to roll. But see, I just don't believe that it's good enough. If you get down there, that's just right there on the see how that the other thing, you know, this valve looks like it's a little long, so I'll see if maybe there's a better place for it while I'm at it. And I'm just gonna drill a notch in there. If I got a drill bit, it's probably hardened steel. You can see how thick it is. Yeah, it's like 1/4 inch. So I got plenty of meat to work with. So let's see what happens. That looks a little better to me. Yeah, it's just drifting already.
be tricky. Wow. I think I need a really high-end bit for this. I got a mark. Okay, the mark's good. So I know where I want it. I don't think this is gonna do it. Maybe. Let's try tightening this a little bit. See how it feels in there. Okay, just as I suspected with that extra length, this bolt is now not long enough. So all I gotta do is get a longer one. And I think this is a good idea. So, off to the hardware store. I guess what I could try to do is bring this in. I don't know. I'd do this in a vise, but that's already attached and I don't want to mess with it. Looks like I got a little bit. That might have done the trick. Change the positioning a little. See, can't seem to get it as tight now, but it's in that groove. I like that. Okay, well, I'm just going to kind of mess around with it and give it some thought. That might be good enough. I think it's better than it was. Now there is one more little concern. This little clip that actually holds this, I feel like that's pretty vulnerable for to come out there. I mean, this could come loose, this could come loose. So I don't know if I should like wrap this with like some P-line or something, so that if it did start jiggling, it would have something that would hold it, a secondary, like a fail-safe. Just another precaution in case this thing starts getting squirrely. Look at that. This thing ain't really, it moves a little bit. That's as tight as I can get it. I'm not real happy with it, but I think it's enough to test it. So here we go. All right, so I took a significant run on this valve stem job, and everything looks good. And I got up to freeway speeds, and there's just no issues. So far so good on this install, especially putting that little dimple in there. So now we're gonna head back and I'll check them again. Okay, still working on the valve stem / now hubcaps. The hubcaps aren't fitting over the valve extension assembly installation. So I'm going to have a cut made to conform so that the hubcap will fit in there. But on second inspection, I decided to reposition the valve stems to a more convenient location. So that's what I'm right in the middle of. Passenger side went on real good. I just drilled another slot, another dimple, another whatever you want to call it, and that fit nice. On the driver's side, I just drilled a new dimple hole, and it's in slightly the wrong location. I like the spot, so now I got to figure out how to get them to align. But when I get that figured out, then I'm going to run these over to somebody who says they got a way to cut these, because I haven't been able to do it. I tried a Sawzall with a hacksaw blade, nothing. I just don't have the means. So once that's on, I'll take a few pictures of it so we can see what we're up against. I'm going to head over there and we'll see if we can get these cuts made. So let's do it. So here's the new location, and I got the valve itself back there, and I've got the C-clamp part. That was the old hole, so I put it in a new spot. Now likewise, I'm moving this one. It was up over here, but I drilled the hole slightly off of where it needed to be, like by a 1/16 of an inch there. So I'm thinking if I can get this C-clamp widened a little bit and get it started, as I tighten it, it should conform. So I don't want to drill another hole because it's exactly where I want it. I ultimately decided to drill a little bigger hole and angle it a little bit more. The hole, I put a little, and it's going in. Okay, so here's my pattern. The reason this side, the valve side, I've got so big is because I'm planning on putting Bluetooth tire pressure sensor, and it's like this big button that goes on the end of this, so I need room for that. Just thinking ahead. So next stop, get these cut. Okay, so I'm here at Larry's garage. He says he got me covered on cutting these things, so let's go see. Moment of truth. First of all, here's my cut. That's gonna be just dandy. Doesn't look terrible. I'll clean it up a little bit, file it down. Yar. Doesn't look like I cut this one deep enough. Well, let's kick it on there and see. Now look at how this one sticks out. So I can get the air chuck on that, no problem. And when I get the sensor on there. The other side's not like that. I'm not sure what happened there. So if I need to try to cut this more, I think I can do that here. I think this is a success. That's sweet. I think that's going to be just fine. Cut it with a Dremel. Kind of a heavy duty Dremel, so just so you know. In conclusion, I think that's the end of this project. Got the hubcaps back on, everything looks good, and I think I can check them with the hubcaps on. I don't know yet if I can fill them easily, but I think so. Worst case scenarios, I'll have to take the hubcaps off to fill them, but at least I don't have to take them off to check them, and I can probably fill them without taking them off. Thinking. I'm going to just end it there. So, valves extensions are amazing. It's changed everything as far as checking the tires. It's made it real easy. Getting them on and getting all this has been a pain, but it was worth it, because going forward I just walk up and check them and keep the hubcaps on in all likelihood, and we are done. So there's that. Time to get on to the next project, so let's go. Catch you later.